Good evening to one and all. Welcome you all to the daily Indian Express newspaper analysis for the date 31st August 2023, brought to you by Ganesh IAS Academy. Okay, let's get into today's current affair analysis. So these are all the important articles which came in today's Indian Express newspaper, which we will be discussing in detail in the upcoming slides. Have a look at it. Another coup attempt in Africa, this time in Gabon, which is a part of Western African country. Okay, what does the news means is that mutinous leaders have claimed to seized power in Gabon, so that they are ending the 55 years of ruling of the family. Why? Because of lack of good governance, increased corruption, and using these state institutions for vested interest. So these are all the important reasons being said by the mutinous leaders to do the coup in the Gabon. Okay, how the news is very important to civil service examination is that it is very important because under prelims it will be coming under a topic called current events of national as well as international importance, and then in mains it is coming under GS2 international relation under a subtopic called effect of policies and politics of developing countries on India's interest as well as Indian diaspora. So these are all the things which we needed to be aware of while we are looking into the news. Okay, let's discuss about how the previous year prelims question been asked whenever this kind of news has been occurred. In the recent years, Chad, Guyana, Mali, Sudan caught the international attention for which one of the following reason common to all of them. Under it, these are all the countries which have undergone a successful coups. So the answer is option D, successful coups. So in that list, Gabon is also going to take a place. Before that, last week we have discussed about Niger, where this coup has been undertaken. So Niger will also be in the bucket of the bucket list. Okay, let's discuss about the Gabon, the country Gabon. See, from the map itself, we could able to know that it is bordering North Atlantic Ocean and then the countries which borders Gabon are Congo, Equatorial Guyana, and the capital city of the Gabon is Libreville. And another city which is very important for Gabon is Port Gentil. So in these two countries, in these two cities, nearly 59% of the population of the Gabon are been living. So from the data itself, we could able to know that most of the people in the Gabon lives in highly urbanized areas like Libreville as well as Port Gentil, and it is one of the highest resource. It is one of the country which is having more number of environmental as well as other petroleum resources, and then because of the climate mitigation as well as adaptation policies being implemented in the Gabon, it is right now turned itself into a net carbon absorber, and then it is also one of the countries which has the more number of younger population, and then the Gabonese Democratic Party. So the Gabonese Democratic Party, 1 minute. So the Gabonese Democratic Party is the one was ruling the country for the past 55 years. So this ruling is right now being ended with the coup. With the successful coup, the 59 years of the tenure of a particular family has been ended. So these are all the details in relation to Gabon, and these are all the border areas, that is North Atlantic Ocean, Congo, Equatorial Guyana, and then Cameroon. So these are the important details in relation to the Gabon. So okay, what is the reason why more number of coup has been happening in Western African countries? That the first and foremost reason is the weak economy. Weak economy means higher inflation, loss of jobs, and then the other external environment or the global slowdown of economy is also taking a heavy toll on the Gabon people. Not only in Gabon people, but also in the entire Western African countries. So that the people are right now rioting and they wanted the change of the regime. So because of this, the coup has been taking place in many of the Western African countries. Second is interference in the politics by other nations. For example, in the case of Gabon, the politics, the local politics have been heavily influenced by the France. So the France and other Western countries are having their military base and other infrastructure related to military in the Western African countries to help those countries to fight against the terrorist as well as insurgent activities. But along with that, they are also playing one of the major role in the internal politics also. So that is the second reason. Third is most of the Western African countries have restricted common people's freedom in the like freedom of expression and then media rights have been suppressed. So this suppression have now turned into a violent protest, which in turn led to coup. And then the judiciary is being heavily influenced by the government, so that the equity as well as equitable society could not able to be achieved. As a result of which the coup is being undertaken. And then arid geography is also main reason for the coup. Why it is that the geography will be influencing the habitat of the surrounding. Because of the arid geography, there will be restriction or the scarcity in the resource. So huge competition for the huge competition to take a pie in the resources is also having a heavy toll on the people. So that the coup has been undertaken. These are also it is also another reason for the coup. And then loss of morality for the defense people. The people, most of the defense related people who have been fighting against the militants as well as insurgency in their country lost their morality. Why? Because is that the government or the people who are handling or administering the government are not providing them with enough funds, enough equipment, and also there is a lack of recognition and then salaries. As a result of which they lose their morality to fight against the insurgency, rather than they are turning against the government itself. And then insecurity that is present in the region because of highly terrorized region in the African continent, and also increased insurgency as well as extremist activity that is happening in this region is also acting as one of the factor for the coup. And then what is the economic community of the Western African state is about? Because it is the grouping or the economic grouping which was formed by grouping of 15 Western African countries, and it was formed during 1975 under a treaty of Lagos. Right now 15 members have been there, and then what is the objective for the formation is that they wanted to foster the integration in terms of economic activities, so that they could able to be sustainable. So this is what the reason for economic community of Western African states is about. And right now, so in the last week when the Niger coup has been undertaken, this economic community of Western African state has made a sanction in the Niger coup. So they are having a role to play to reduce the tension in the Western African countries, so that we should know about them also. And then what is the impact does the Gabon coup will be creating to the country? More importantly for India is that Gabon is one of the important oil producing country, but it is also a member of OPEC organization for petroleum export countries. But the quantity of the petroleum products being produced by the Gabon is very minimal. Even if after the coup the supply has been disrupted, means it won't create any kind of major impact in the global supply of oil. So it won't be having any impact on the global supply of petroleum products. Since India is highly dependent on import of the oil for its domestic requirements, so disruption in the Gabon supply chain will not have any impact on India's oil interest. So this is the major takeaway. What we needed to study further is that you should know about what is the Sahel region is about. Which are all the countries constitute Sahel region? We should know about them. And then second is we should know about the African Union, its structure, function, as well as organization, and the year in which it is formed, and what is the relationship between African Union as well as India. And then we should know about the entire Africa geography itself. Similarly, we should also know about the India-Africa relationship. So this is what the overall analysis in relation to the coup of the Gabon. Chasing the sun. So the Aditya L1 mission, it is right now going to be launched in the upcoming week. Unlike the moon mission, across the world there are only few missions in relation to the sun, and right now the Aditya L1 mission is the purely scientific endeavor rather than the Chandrayaan mission, which is going to explore and collect detail whether such place could be useful for the staying of the astronaut or not. But in the case of Aditya L1, it is not so. It is going to measure the physical as well as chemical and atmospheric components in relation to the sun. So it is purely the scientific endeavor, not any other thing like the Chandrayaan 3, where Chandrayaan 3 is aimed to do research in relation to the exploration activities, and also to check whether there is a possibility for the humans or the space scientists to settle down for their space related activities. So how the news is related to civil service examination is that under prelims it is related to current events of national as well as international importance. Similarly, under mains it is related to awareness in the field of IT, space, computer, robotics, nanotechnology, biotechnology, and issues relating to IPR, that is intellectual property rights. Okay, let's discuss about the news related to Mangalyaan mission, which was asked previously in the prelims question. The Mangalyaan being launched by ISRO is also, first statement is also called Mars Orbiter mission. Second, it is made in India. It made India the second country to have the spacecraft orbit the Mars after USA. Yes, it is the Mars Orbiter mission only, and then it is the second. India is the second country to have the spacecraft orbiting around Mars after USA, and The speciality about the launch is the third statement, that is C statement. It made India the only country to be successful in making its spacecraft to orbit around the Mars in its very first attempt. So all the statement is correct. So answer is option D. 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's discuss about the details in relation to Aditya L1 mission. It is the first space-based mission for India in relation to exploration of sun. And then it is going to be placed in a hollow orbit called as Lagrange point 1. The Lagrange point, what is the specialty is that it is between the sun as well, earth as well as sun, and it will be at a distance of 1.5 million kilometer, which is 1% of the overall distance between earth and sun, which is 150 million kilometer. So from this Lagrange point, there will be a clear view of the sun will be there. So it will this point will not get affected by any kind of eclipse activity. So it is very potential site for doing the observation in relation to the sun, because sun will be visible in this point at every time. And see, this is what I say, continuous viewing. We could be able to view the sun without any kind of disruption like eclipse. Similarly, the solar effects, why the Aditya L1 mission is studied is that done is that because they wanted to study sun. Why they wanted to study sun? The solar is having the solar flash as well as coronal mass ejection. These have impact on the weather, and also they are having impact on the satellite communication system which is orbiting around the earth. And then it is going to carry 7 payloads to observe photosphere, chromosphere, corona based upon the electromagnetic detection. And then it provides information in relation to coronal heating, as I said, coronal mass ejection, as well as pre as well as post flare activities. So these are all the important details in relation to Aditya L1 mission. And then what does this Lagrange point is about is, it is the area where it is the area present in between two giant bodies, so that the gravitational pull made by the two bodies will get neutralized. Such kind of a point is called as Lagrange point. So in that point, every object will be in a equilibrium. They won't get distracted by the gravitational pull of the huge body that is present beside. So right now there are 5 Lagrange point present between the sun as well as the earth. So in this point only the Aditya L1 mission is going to get placed. So we could able to see that the sun will be directly visible from this L1 point at every day or every point of time. And then the second point, Lagrange point, it is nearly opposite to the direction of L1, which is very useful for studying deep space, to do research activity in relation to deep space. And then the Lagrange point 3, it is present farther away from the sun. It is the only point which is located at farthest distance or away very far distance from the sun. And then these 2 points are located at exactly 60-degree angle from the earth. So these are all the 5 Lagrange point that has been present between the sun as well as in the earth. There are again same 5 Lagrange point will be present between 2 giant bodies, or let's in the case of Saturn and sun, there will be 5 Lagrange point will be present. In the case of Jupiter and Sun, there will be 5 Lagrange point will be present in the same direction between the Jupiter as well as in the Sun. So, likewise, whenever there is the huge bodies are present or huge bodies that are available in the space, there will be correspondingly there will be Lagrange point will be present around them also. Why? Because is the whenever there is the huge body has been present, the gravitational pull, they will be they will be having gravitational pull, and this gravitational pull will be at some point in the space will be neutralized because of the exact equal and opposite pull made by the two giant bodies. As a result of which, these kind of Lagrange points will be formed between any two huge masses like Sun, Mercury, Sun, Saturn, Sun, Jupiter, etc. Okay, what is the advantage of the Aditya L1 mission is that it will, because of the understanding of the Sun, we could able to smoothly transit our economy from fossil fuel based economy to the non-fossil fuel or renewable based economy, that is solar based economy. And then the heat mechanism of the solar corona could be understood. Similarly, the wind particles, which is having heavy influence on the atmosphere, weather pattern of the earth, and also the satellite communications. Satellite communication that is present in the lower earth orbit of the earth, they are having a huge impact on it. So by understanding it, we could be able to prevent if there is any kind of disaster that is going to happen. Similarly, we could also able to understand solar irradiation variation. So these are all the advantages of Aditya L1 mission. What we needed to study further is that we should know about Chandrayaan 3 mission and then Parker solar probe, and similarly we should also know about the entire solar system also. And another advantage of the L1 mission is that if we are able to know about the physical, chemical, atmospherical component in relation to the Sun, we could also be able to have understand about the origin of our planetary system. Similarly, we could also be able to have understand in relation to the internal composition of the another star. So this is what the overall details and analysis in relation to Aditya L1 mission. Strengthen financial operation resilience. RBI governor to urban cooperative banks. RBI governor has asked the boards of urban cooperative banks to strengthen their financial as well as operational resilience. Why? Because is that by strengthening their financial and operational resilience in areas like compliance, risk management and internal audit, the urban cooperative banks could become financially sound. So this is what been said by the RBI governor. How the news is related to exam is that under prelims it is related to economic as well as social development. Similarly, under mains it is related to Indian economy and the issues relating to planning, mobilization of resource, growth, development and employment. Okay, how the previously prelims question have been asked in relation to urban cooperative bank is that with reference to urban cooperative banks in India, consider the following statements. They are supervised and regulated by local boards set up by state governments. No, it is not so. They are supervised and regulated by RBI. Similarly, they can issue equity shares and preference shares. Yes. Similarly, under third statement, they were brought under the purview of Banking Regulation Act and through an amendment in 1966. Yes, the statement is also correct. Answer is option B, 2 and 3. Okay, let's discuss about the Urban Cooperative Bank. It is the primary credit society which has a markup capital of 1 lakh rupee, and the other requirement for a primary credit society to become Urban Cooperative Bank is that its transaction should be banking only. Majority of the transaction should be in relation to banking, and under it has been registered and regulated by acts called state in the respective states. It is the States Cooperative Society Act, which will be the name will be varying according to the state needs, and then the Banking Regulation Act 1949. So through this statutory acts, the urban cooperative banks have been regulated as well as supervised. Similarly, the urban cooperative banks have been divided into two types: the Tier 1 banks and Tier 2 banks. The Tier 1 banks are those banks which have less than 100 crore capital. Similarly, the Tier 2, it is having banks which is having more than 100 crore capital, and the Tier 2 only, it is the very big urban cooperative bank. Why? Because of increased deposit in it. Second is higher branches, it has more deposits, capitals, and more branches. Area of its reach is very high when compared to the Tier 1 urban cooperative banks. And right now the RBI is regulating the urban cooperative banks. Initially there was a problem of dual control. In that, the certain banking related activities like CRR, SLR requirements, the capital adequacy requirement, and the risk management, these kind of banking related regulations being done by RBI. But in the case of administrative regulations being done by the corresponding state registrar. Because of involvement of these two bodies, there has been huge confusion. So right now the RBI has taken the overall control to supervise as well as regulate the urban cooperative bodies. Similar to normal commercial bank, urban cooperative bodies will also should require to have certain percentage of amount as CRR and SLR. They are also required. They could also able to give shares as well as get the shares from other companies or organizations, etc. So these are all the important details in relation to urban cooperative banks. So what is the advantages it is having is that it is enhancing formal lending practices in the rural areas. Why? Because more number of people have been unaware of the formal credit system that is available to them through the normal banking channels. But because of the increased presence of urban cooperative banks in nowadays, people are moving towards urban cooperative banks for accessing the credit, which is the formal channel. But before that, they have been heavily dependent on the money lenders, who are the informal credit providers, so that they have been the common people have been manipulated by those people. So as a result of which their life has been got affected. So because of this availability of the urban cooperative bank, their access or their move towards the formal credit system has been increased. Similarly, because of the urban cooperative bank, the access to credit is also been very easy. Why? Because the board contains members not only from the lenders but also from the customer sides also, and then it encourages the savings activities of the people, and then it is open for membership, because the urban cooperative bodies will be formed in the local communities, local areas where the people will be knowing each other. So the membership will be open to all. It directly involves citizen in the control of the organization. Similarly, what is the challenge it is having is that first and foremost is the interference of political persons, and then misgovernance of the board in urban cooperative bank is taking a huge toll on the urban cooperative functioning of urban cooperative bank, and then lack of technology adaptation is also enabling, it is hindering its expansion activities. Similarly, the regional disparities, those states, those who are present in the northeastern areas or the eastern side part of our country, have the lesser urban cooperative bank when compared to the southern as well as southwestern part of India. Similarly, the loan overdue in the urban cooperative bank is getting increased. Why? Because there's lack of risk assessment while giving loan, lack of standards to assess the risk. Similarly, unfair internal audit inside the urban cooperative bank because of the vested interest, and also because of the unawareness among the board members and also with the peoples. The unfair audit has been undertaken so that they could able to make up the documents to show themselves as they are very profit oriented banks. So what need to be done is that there need to be increasing the transparency as well as accountability, and then the stringent governance practice needed to be adopted in their governance activity. Similarly, there need to be, their competitiveness should be increased, then their internal as well as external control need to be strengthened. Okay, what we needed to study further is, we should know about the scheduled commercial banks, its structure, function, organization, power, etc. Similarly, non-banking financial companies, and also the difference between the scheduled commercial bank and the non-banking financial companies. And then third, we should know about NABARD. Similarly, fourth, we should know about regional rural banks, primary agriculture cooperative society, and then central and state cooperative banks. These are all the things which we need to be aware of. Okay, this is what the overall analysis in relation to urban cooperative banks. Maharashtra stares at drought, agri crisis with 40% rain in August. What is the news is that Maharashtra expected that more rain will be produced during the August month, but they only got the 40% of the expected amount of rainfall. As a result of which, a drought-like situation is right now emerging in the state, and there is the water storage deficiency is also beginning to take place in many part of the region, most important, particularly in the northern Maharashtra as well as Marathwada region. And how the news is related to exam is that it is related to general issues on environmental ecology, biodiversity, climate change. And then under GS3 agriculture topic, it is related to major cropping pattern in various part of the countries. So, and through this syllabus only, the news has been linked to civil service exam. So, how the questions have been asked previously in relation to the news which we have seen right now is that in UP, consider the following statement: the duration of monsoon decreases from southern India to northern India. Yes, the statement is correct. Why? Because the southwest monsoon will begin to hit the southwest monsoon takes place initially in the southwestern part of the India, and then gradually it will be moving towards northern part of India. So while moving towards northern part of India, the southwest part of India will lose their or the rainfall will get reduced or stopped, but the amount of rainfall that is happening in the northern part of will get increased. And then second statement is the amount of annual rainfall in the northern plain of India decreases from east to west. Yes, like in the case of southwest monsoon, the northeast monsoon also, the rain will be starting in the northeast part and then it will be gradually moving towards the northwestern part of India. So while moving towards northwestern part of India, the northeast part of India, which has initially experienced the rainfall, will get reduced or stopped. So both the statement is correct. Answer is both 1 and 2. About monsoon. Monsoon is the seasonal reversal of the wind. The seasonal reversal of the wind which is taking place due to changes of season. In India, the southwest monsoon India gets rain. Majority of India gets rain from the southwest monsoon, and then the southern part, most important, more precisely, the Tamil Nadu will be getting rain from the northeastern monsoon, and the southwestern monsoon rainfall takes place because of the low pressure condition in Tibetan Plateau, and then the northeastern, that the withdrawal of the monsoon will be taking place because of the high pressure condition in the same Tibetan region. So this kind of pressure difference will act as push and pull factor for the rainfall winds, and whenever the southwest monsoon is hitting the southern tip of our country, it will get divided into two branches. One is Bay of Bengal branch, another is Arabian Sea branch. The Bay of Bengal branch will bring rain to the northeastern part of India, then it will be gradually move towards the northwestern part of India. Similarly, the Arabian Sea branch will bring rainfall towards the southwestern part of India, and it will gradually move towards northern plains of India. So this seasonal reversion of wind, which is called monsoon, has a huge impact in India's agriculture. How it has huge impact in India's agriculture? It is that our Indian system is mostly dependent on agricultural activities, and if we are having good amount of monsoon only, good amount of rainfall will be produced. A good amount of rainfall will enable higher production, which in turn will enable the India to have a good GDP or good national income. See, first is increased production. Second, it will boost the economic activities, and then it will recharge the groundwater resources. Similarly, it will reduce because of the bumper production, there will be more number of supply. There won't be any kind of supply side constraint, so that it will be reducing the food prices, which in turn will have a huge reduction in the consumer price inflation. But in the case of deficient rainfall is happening, means it will have negative impact in the agriculture, like less production, less supply will be leading to higher food inflation. Similarly, supply issue will be taking place. Why? Because more number of production or manufacturing related industries require agriculture products as their main input. So if the agriculture activity is getting disrupted means it will have a ripple effect on the manufacturing sector. Why? Because it is acting as the raw material supply for the manufacturing sector or the industrial sector. And then drought like situation will be arising in India. Similarly, the reservoir water storage will get reduced, and then there will be rise of non-performing asset. Why? Because the farmers will be accessing the credit to harvest or so that to buy the input which is required for the production of the crop. If the rainfall is not coming means surely the good harvesting will not take place, as a result of which you will not be getting the good return, as a result of which there will be rise of non-performing asset. He could not able to give back the credit which the bank given to him, and then it will lead to reduced groundwater recharge. So these are all the important negative effect that will happen to agriculture sector whenever there is the deficient rainfall. So what we needed to be done is that our budgeting system should be more oriented towards climate sensitive budgeting rather than incremental budgeting. Similarly, there need to be precise forecast in relation to the weather pattern needed to be take place, so that the precautionary measures could be made. Similarly, climate smart agri practice needed to be promoted, so that our agriculture system will become resilient towards the climate change disaster that is happening. So these are all the important way forward which we needed to do. What needed to be studied is that we should know about the Indian Meteorological Department, its structure, function, organization, and what are the important thing which they have done recently. Similarly, we should know about sustainable agriculture practices. Third, we should know about Punjab Agriculture University. Why? Because it is one of the more important agricultural university which has played a huge role for the green revolution as well as agriculture activities in India. And then we should know about the transgenic crops, and what are all the transgenic crops that has been approved and put into practice in the India. So these are all the other things which we needed to be aware of. Okay students, with this we have reached the end of the session. I hope the session is very useful for everyone. So let's have a quick good news in tomorrow's newspaper. Let's look forward. Thank you.